Welcome back to The Edge, Google's showing competitors on your knowledge panel. More from Google on Core Web Vitals. It's building up, and Google My Business business profiles are actually enhanced for some businesses. Is yours? You're listening to News from The Edge for the week of April 5th, 2021, here on Edge of the Web.
From the Edge of the Web studios, here's what we're looking at this week.
All right, welcome back. Hey, this is Edge of the Web. I'm your host, Erin Sparks, owner of Site Strategics. Every week, we bring you some amazing guests to talk with about trending digital marketing topics. Each week, we're actually covering SEO and digital marketing news, separate from our weekly interview, getting more news to you more and more quickly. So be sure to check out all the recent shows over at edgeofthewebradio.com. That's edgeofthewebradio.com. This is the Site Strategics Digital Marketing News Desk of Edge of the Web. And every week, we're getting joined by Mordy Oberstein, who we actually are asking on the show each week. So it's not like he just shows up like a weird kind of guy in a straitjacket across the hall. I mean, he's here and we invite him. So here's Mordy. How you doing, Mordy?
I'm glad you finally came and were able to admit that you invite me on this show. How does that feel to own up to it?
I realized that we're okay. We're in the fourth month here. It's April, and I pretty much just need to fess up and say, you know what? We invited him on this year, and it's gone reasonably well. There's so much we have to edit out, though, each and every show, Morty.
But you like punishing Jacob.
I do.
I was over here under the impression this was the biggest April Fool's setup ever on me. But now that we're past April 1st,
3 months to build this thing
Wait,
up, right?
You thought in January that this was an April Fool's prank?
I thought Erin was setting me up.
It's huge.
Wow.
I didn't realize I was supposed to be
Epic.
publishing all these episodes.
Oh, son of a gun.
That would have been epic.
So in your podcast, you're going to have 12 episodes. Pop right away. No. All right. Well, Morty, it's great to be able to have you on the show. We're knocking out the news each and every week. What's going on in Morty's world?
Let's see. Some news from Wix.
Yeah.
Some news from Wix. We have integrated with not only Google My Business from a couple of weeks ago, but Amazon. So you can connect your Wix store to Amazon, create update listings from Amazon listings through Wix, manage your Amazon sales, track your Amazon sales on the Wix dashboard and the Wix platform, and so forth. So it's pretty cool.
I got to check out the Wix ecom pieces. I know you gave me a testing
I gave you a voucher.
Yeah. I'm going to jump in there and see what I can build in there. I want to see the ecom side of things and how it fleshes out. So, all right.
What would you sell? I'm curious. What would you sell?
Tactical kilts.
I don't even understand that.
Kilts that are tactical kilts. I mean, weapons grade kilts.
Doesn't like the Scottish Army already have that?
Yeah, and they need more. I mean, honestly, if the world actually understood how refreshing kilt wearing is, I mean, that would be a new fashion trend. It truly would.
Go on.
And you could also holster your weapon of choice too.
Oh, let's not get into what you're holstering under your kilt.
So it's tactical. It's tactical. All right, fine. All right, we're going to pivot around. Let's get some news out of the way here because it's getting uncomfortable in the studio now. Our first article from Barry Swartz over at Search Engine Roundtable. Google's knowledge panel can actually show competitors as alternatives. All right, you get your check this out. This is just an article that I had to do a double take on. So, I mean, you have this fancy knowledge panel, right, for your company name, product name, and if you do your brand SERP, you dig into it with Jason Bernard, and you get all these pieces rolling through to be able to support your brand. And look what's on the right hand side, right underneath that, you can actually have Google deciding that there are alternatives or competitors right inside your knowledge panel. And in this particular example, we're zooming in, Whitespark, Darren Shaw over Whitespark said, what is this BS? Because under Whitespark, the brand literally is the alternatives, Whitespark local citation finder. One's Bright Local, one's Moz Local, one's SEMrush. What the heck is that? Why in the world would you even want to optimize your knowledge panel if Google's going to actually present your competitors inside of your panel? All right, Morty, tell me, what am I missing here?
I don't think you're missing anything. I think that's pretty much it. I mean, Look, I understand from Google's perspective, hey, we want to show the user the maximum amount of information, the most useful information, most helpful information. So
Right.
yeah, competitors are part of the program. I get that, but I mean, come on. Like
That's not even the same street. That's literally on your welcome mat
yeah,
of your
they
own
Googled you in specific. It wasn't like they Googled
Right.
for best local SEO platform, and there was a whole listing of software platforms. And okay, fine.
Exactly.
They're Googling you by name. So how relevant is it? Is that really the most relevant thing to put the alternative brands there? I don't think it is, which kind of befuddles me.
Right.
Why would Google, if it's not really what the user's looking for, why did Google put it there?
Well, it's also, I mean, if it's the search was for Whitespark, like you said, the brand, and underneath the alternatives to Whitespark's local citation finder. Now, if you look at it, that's one tool of Whitespark's bandolier of tools, right, for local SEO optimization. Great company, by the way. Yep. Great 404 too.
Oh yeah, hey, they were one of the finalists.
That's right. That's right. So it's actually picking out a tool that is similar to all the other competitors. So it's actually breaking apart a particular function of Whitespark and showing that, well, there's a lot of other features and functions in Whitespark. Why are they picking out that common and then showing the competitors of that particular common feature of Whitespark? I don't get it. I think it's a big overreach, you know?
So the question is that, look, is it that Google is on purpose doing this, or is this just how the knowledge graph is working on steroids?
Mm-hmm.
And they need to tone it down. I don't know. They definitely, if you think that the knowledge panel is your property or your space, as by the way, as I personally think as well, it should be.
Sure. It's
not. You've had in the local panels, in your Google My Business listing, there are often times where there's competitor carousels in there.
All right, do me a favor, Jake. Can you search on Google, just Google the brand? Just Google.
Yeah, they don't show up with Bing.
You saw on the Twitter feed from Andy Simpson, it showed Sundar as CEO. If you look on the right-hand side, let's see if they actually have alternatives. Top alternatives to Google, perchance? No? Anything? No. Oddly, they don't have that. There's people also search for, but shouldn't their top alternatives to Google search engine be Bing, DuckDuckGo, Lycos, Dogpile? So there
what this reminds me of? This reminds you of that J.R. Oak study.
Yeah.
People also ask box, right? For corporations, there's always like a negative sentiment in there. I'm working on a study now on the PAA box, and only place I've ever seen that sort of negative sentiment show up so far. I've looked at so far around 100 different boxes. It's not a credible amount, but that's enough. And I specifically have left off companies. There's no negative sentiment in there. When you Google like the Yankees and the PAA box there's no like, why do the Yankees suck? Why haven't they won a World Series since 2009?
Got it.
Really frustrating for Yankee fans. I know we're a spoiled bunch, but hey, there's only negative sentiment for companies. So that's also, there's like this double weird oddity within the PAA box and with the knowledge panel where there's this sort of you called it an overreach. I guess we'll call that an overreach where they're showing negative sentiment in the PAA box. They're showing alternatives companies as like the top information they're seeing there. I understand why you'd have people also search for carousel at the bottom. Fine, that kind of makes sense.
Sure.
But as part of the knowledge panel on this entity, kind of strange.
Yeah. And if you're poking at that one linkage, which is they also share the same type of tool set, now you're actually wondering, what does Google understand about the entity and the functionality of that software? And maybe it's trying to be a utility matchup for consumers, but the knowledge panel of a brand, I think, should be sacrosanct. It should be the brand, and maybe the public reviews, right, and have a mixture of this, that, and the other.
Sure.
But deliberately recommending, for lack of a better description, other competitors and their tools over there, man, that's. I'm sorry, that's not right.
Even if it were best for the user, which I don't in this particular case think that it is, and I think there are other ways to do this if it really is.
Sure.
You have to consider the company also. I mean, like there's people trying to earn a living. I don't think it's necessarily fair to do this to them.
No, I
even
would
if it
agree
is
with that.
best for the user, which I again think there's other ways to do this, and suspect that it's not best for the user.
Correct. Well, That said, what's best for the user is improving your core web vitals, right? So Google expands its core web vitals and page experience update FAQs. This is from Search Engine Land, from various sources as well. Google updated its FAQs around core web vitals and the page experience update. This page is accessible at the Google support forums. We'll put the link in our show page as well. And it was initially posted in December 2020, but was updated on March 30th with a lot more details. Basically, the biggest thing that's new, says Barry, is a focus on on how Google will actually still rank the most relevant content despite how poorly it may actually perform in its core web vitals. It says, quote, "Our systems will continue to prioritize pages with the best information overall, even if some aspects of the page experience are subpar. A good page experience doesn't override having great relevant content." So it does answer a number of additional questions when it comes down to FAQs and in respect of core web vitals. But more importantly, this update right now, I mean, we all know, and we've been alerted for a long time that May 2021 is when these ranking signals come into play for core web vitals, right? We don't know to the degree or size, but it's here. It's among us. It's going to be next month. So they updated everything to be able to give a little bit fresher take for people to understand why it's so important, right?
Yeah, I mean, they're basically telling you it's important in a runoff, right? Where you're competing with sites, the content for all, Occam's razor, all things being equal, content's exactly equal, even though it's not duplicated content, of course.
Right.
And now who do we rank? Well, we'll rank the site with a better core web vitals. So I think it's kind of everything we already knew, but didn't see it in writing.
But interesting enough is that we talked about something a while back regarding one page is not the same as another page. You got a newspaper out there, and that can't be in the same performance vein as a local hardware store. And they actually do reference that Google's guidance uses the same thresholds for CWV for all types of pages. For example, homepage for a newspaper is not the same as an article, not the same as a comments page. Well, they're actually looking at this. Not as it's more of an experience of the journey of the website, not the individual page. And that's somewhat of a distinction, is that although all this data is coming from the Chromium user experience, so anybody who's using Chrome, you may not know this, but you're actually sending all this data back to Google on the page experiences of the sites that you're visiting. It's not just an individual page, it's a holistic type of picture of the entire site, right?
That's why SEOs who can't get this right are going to write, hey, everybody use Edge, or whatever Microsoft calls it now. Although it's built on Chrome, no? Yeah, so use Firefox.
Exactly, yeah. Everybody just go into Firefox, so there's going to be a groundswell.
But I think they mentioned in the FAQ there, right? If you're, and that means that if you not index no index the page, I'll get it right, no index the page, but the user gets there, well then they're storing that data. Crux has that data, even though indexed it, doesn't really matter for your core web vitals. I mean, they're not ranking that page anyway, so maybe it doesn't really matter. But they're still calculating it.
They are, and you got to wonder, because this is one of these elusive ranking signals. There's been a lot of change over the last year and a half, right? Last year was incredibly so, with so many changes in the SERPs. New featured areas, new subtopic areas. The entire SERP environment has changed, but Google is explicitly looking at how you treat its customers, right? And that's going to be something. It's not going to be a slight signal. This is, and to your point about being, a decision maker. I'm thinking that the more and more people are investing in speeding up these sites and making it a better user experience, that could very well.
That's what Google wants.
That's what they want.
That's exactly what they're trying to do, right? They're tapping into a whole new market of people advocating for developers to make the sites faster, or more, faster, not the exact, more user-friendly in terms of the experience of them, which again means, all things being equal means faster, but it's more nuanced than that. Look, I think it's a good thing. I was talking to one of our developers at Wix, and he's like, he's on the Chrome advisory board. And we're talking about core web vitals, and there are things that are problematic about the core web vitals as metrics,
right? And
there are things that are, for example, by the way, in case you didn't know this, but if you have Google doesn't count the an image that takes up the entire viewport for LCP because they consider it a background. So the background's not part of the user experience the way that they other elements of the page are.
Sure.
So it won't count that. But if you have a menu and then you put that image that covers the whole viewport, so once you've pushed down the image just a bit, now that's not a background anymore. Now it does count for your LCP. So there are things that are like there are things that are there are limitations to how Google, to the metrics that Google is using. But overall, like, you know, he was saying, he thinks that they're a good thing for the web. And I think they are a good thing for the web. And I think, to your point, I think they're going to count a little more than just the runoff kind of thing.
Right.
But content is still the main, like, content is the commodity.
But we also talked about this, is there are going to be plenty of websites out there that don't know how to dial this in at all. Maybe they spun up their own WordPress website and they bought a theme and now they're stuck with it. They have no idea. And this is the thing, is that there's levels of development savvy. And if you're now actually potentially penalizing somebody that doesn't know how to actually affect their core web vitals or their load time, they don't know how to chop away at some of that delivery, they could very well be left out of that particular race, you know, and that's unfortunately is uniformly being delivered. But there's such a variety of levels of experience of the consumer base, how they can actually improve their websites experiences. I think it's going to favor the much more savvy and technically inclined, right?
Yeah, well, that's really why it's important for the CMSs, and I'll put this on Wix and on Shopify and Squarespace. They need to be able to, they need to handle this. Yeah. And I include Wix in that. It needs to be handled by the CMSs so that you're right, so that you have somebody. So, you know, for whatever reason, this particular ranking signal is really impacting me. I got to migrate somewhere where I can't afford to pay somebody to deal with it.
Right.
Economy at scale. Let me go to one of the close CMSs. That's why it's really important that we handle it.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. All right, switching to just to give a shout out to our sponsor. Edge of the Web is actually brought to you by Site Strategics, the title sponsor of our show. Site Strategics, we're a pioneer in the agile digital marketing space. Our core specialties are SEO, technical SEO, and core web vitals. By the way, nice little jump into that ring. SEM, social media, conversion rate optimization, and the omni-channel media marketing. So agile marketing means results-based marketing that actually works. So if you're interested in what we can do for you, give us a shout over at 877-SEO for web or 877-736-4932. All right, there's the gratuitous plug there. Jumping into our third and final article. Here's something that I got to kind of grind in my gears as well. Search Engine Journal from Matt Southern. Google actually enhances business profiles for stores with delivery pickup. Now check this out. Google's adding more information to search and maps about businesses that offer options for grocery delivery and pickup. All right, sounds fine. The information is getting added to search automatically, which means that there's no work needed for the part of the businesses, but it's an update worth making note of. The addition to search and maps is rolling out as a part of a larger update, which includes a number of other useful features. Now, where are they getting their data? I'll tell you where they're getting their data. They're getting their data from registered delivery organizations, companies that deliver. So basically, Google is actually getting the information from companies that deliver for a lot of different companies and grocery stores and what have you. All right. So what happens if you're doing your own delivery yourself and you're not registered with this particular delivery service? If you don't have the ability to edit your own data right there, which there are a couple pieces that have been custom here recently, but if they're getting their data from another third party, how in the world can you control that? Do you have to fall in line with them? Is there some sort of nepotism in there? Remember, if you recall, there was this one function that Google actually brought into the mix here that had to be shut down. It was some sort of quote mechanism that all of a sudden tossed people into a platform that they never registered for, but it was like some sort of white pages listing of accounts. And all of a sudden, there's a platform that has nothing to do with, has no control by the consumer, by the business owner. So there's a lot of things that get peppered into knowledge panel and information. should we actually control this as opposed to going to third parties? All right, there's my rant. Morty, what do you think?
Is it so? I'm a little bit confused by it. Is it that it's working that way, or that when the business gives the information to the delivery partner, Google will pull that information as well. So let's say it's store A is giving it to delivery partner X. The transfer of that information from the store A to delivery partner X, Google will pull that information as well. Wouldn't they have to have your permission to do that? Because like now there's only 2 stores, right? It's Albertsons and some other Kroger, and I don't
Instacart
Kroger.
and Albertsons COS stores in the U.S.
Right. So like they're partnering with the store also, no? Or is it just with that delivery partner for that store?
It's the delivery partner for the store, as much as I can tell from this article.
Ooh.
So Google's piloting an innovative grocery service as well this summer that combines the use of Google Maps with online orders for curbside pickup. Okay, so it's piloting its relationship to this other vendor, right? This delivery vendor. And so they're piping in if that... I'm gonna back off of this because I don't know the full intricacies, but it does sound like it's not coming from us, business owners, right? It's coming from your relationship with this other delivery service.
I don't know, because I mean, if that's the case, it's like I don't know how's that legal?
I don't know.
I feel like it has to be through. I read it a little bit differently. I read it as like they're partnering with Kroger themselves, and they're getting. Although, why would they have to partner through a delivery partner in order to do that? Because isn't there a thing? Part of it is also that you can also, when you're ready to pick up your, let's say you order groceries online and you're going to pick them up.
Right.
You head over to Kroger, and when you leave, Kroger knows that you left your house or that you're 5 minutes away, so they can meet you outside.
So you got the
some sort of partnership with the store.
Right. Well, according to the article, it appears that Google will pull this information into businesses' profiles automatically based on the details provided to the delivery providers. So there's no additional relationship except for the delivery providers. So back to my original point, if mom and pop shop doesn't have that relationship with the delivery providers, but they're still doing it, right? Doesn't that give the big box store a bit of an unfair advantage in the space? Shouldn't we actually be able to manage our own data? Boy, I'm just.
I would imagine there has to be some sort of agreement. The cool part, though, is that they have part of this is also the indoor AR map.
Right.
Did you see that?
Yeah, I did.
That's insane. Like if you're walking in the store and you're lost.
Yep.
You hold up your phone. AR. How do I get to the meat section? And go this way. Turn left.
Down one level.
Downright, that's insane.
There's a couple of the things that they mentioned in the article of new improvements that AI is actually powering in the Maps feature. One of them being weather and air quality, right? Another one is the eco-friendly travel options is actually giving you additional routes based on factors like road incline and traffic congestion to be able to optimize and lower fuel consumption. So.
Hey, I know the air quality feature they have on the SERP. Like if you Google, I don't know, air quality in New York, they'll have that SERP feature. So that's cool. They're bringing into the maps.
Yeah. All right. We do need to counterbalance it with some positivity here because I think I've been going a little bit negative today. But if you're automating things get out of whack.
I'm curious to see what that is. I really am, because I can't imagine it. How is that legal?
I don't know. Well, it's their data, right?
Unless they mean like future partners, like maybe they mean that they're gonna, let's say whatever delivery partners that Google will work with, as long as they have consent from the store, Google will pull that information. That's the only way I can see that working.
I think we're going to reach out to Matt Southern and see what else he knows about this one because this.
Oh, that's a good idea. We should have Matt Southern on the podcast.
Yeah,
maybe we should have like a news, a news SEO news personality summit.
Ooh.
Barry, George, Matt,
absolutely.
Barry again.
And another Barry.
He appears for every article we use from Barry.
Just like be poking over the other person's avatar with a Barry. Never mind. We love you, Barry. Thank you for continuing doing what you're doing. What's that?
As long as we can bring back Bernie.
Yeah, we got to bring back Bernie.
He's back. Wow, hey, that's quick.
Thanks,
on the
Bernie.
spot there.
Yeah, exactly. He's like on the stick. He's right there as a deck option right there for our broadcast. For everybody who's listening, Bernie Sanders just showed up to my left at the interview desk.
Amazing.
Yeah,
Good job, Jacob.
Fantastic
Good job.
job. You're just going to milk that, aren't you?
I'm going to keep it here forever.
All right. Well, we're going to be paying attention forever is SEO chat. Morty, there's some schlep that's actually hosting this week's
Yeah, that's
SEO
right.
Tribe. All right.
He's a real freak. I'll tell you that much.
The Morty Oberstein is hosting this week's SEO chat Thursday
I am?
at 1. Yeah, I thought so.
Oh boy, I didn't know.
Oh.
No, I'm kidding. I knew. I tweeted it.
Yeah, you see how it does me? It's always the case. All right.
Wait, is this one we have to show up for?
That's why I'm
Aaron?
here.
Do we have to show up for
You
this?
and me. Do we have to show up for this?
You
one?
Probably.
You showed up. You showed up last week. You were there. You thought I wouldn't be there or something. You were there, and I was there.
Oh man, I was eating popcorn on that one. That was fun. That was
Yeah,
all
that
about
was,
zero click, right?
Hey, there was a lot of things going on in that chat.
Alan, it literally is just
love
graffitiing
Alan.
the entire chat stream.
Freaking hilarious. What he does. It's freaking. But I troll him in my tweets.
Yep.
On
Oh
purpose.
yeah.
I love
yes, you
Alan.
do.
Hilarious.
So we're talking about what?
What Aaron is trying to tell you is
Mhm.
SEO chat is at 1 p.m. this Thursday, and it's a hell of a lot of fun.
I was trying to, but you kept on interrupting me.
That's it, because I wanted to steal your thunder.
Fantastic. No, it was a really good conversation. It was great, hosted by Georgia Wynn from Search Engine Land. But jump in there for SEOs. You'll learn about more new trending things all the time, and you get to scrap a little, be able to throw in with some of the fun guys there. It's always great to be able to learn and tear apart some topics, right? And there's something new
Absolutely.
all the time. So you're talking subtopics this week, right?
Which kind of fits into our first story. Google breaking down entities into subtopics. How does that impact SEO? Well, our first article was a clear example
Absolutely,
of that.
and we should really dig into the knowledge panel competitors there. That would be so much
Oh,
fun.
I should really throw new. Yeah, all right. Now, challenge to me to throw that in there somehow.
All right. Well, any final thoughts this week, Morty?
Final thoughts? I have thoughts. None of them are final.
They're completely unfinished thoughts.
Completely unfinished.
Alrighty. Well, I appreciate your contribution here, and be good this week, man, because you
I'll
get
try.
yourself
You
in,
too.
you get yourself in trouble an awful lot.
I do. I have a big mouth on Twitter and in reality.
It's true. That's why we actually zoom you in. We don't want you here. That's
Right.
the
I
damn
heard Jacob cue that music in. I heard that.
We're gonna get a
It's the
cane.
Oscars.
We're gonna get a cane and walk him up.
Yeah,
All
that's
right. We certainly welcome our listeners to jump in and listen to our interview podcast. I think we're doing Pedro Diaz this week, so check the first segment of Pedro Diaz, and also catch up on Ashley Segura's second episode as well. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to our YouTube channel when you get updated or when we go live. Could very well have that news summit, right? From all of us over at Edge, be safe, be well, and do not be a piece of cyber driftwood. We'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye.